This is a Fox News alert. Donald Trump is increasing his lead in the Republican presidential race. The latest Fox News poll has Trump getting 26% support among Republican primary voters. Jeb Bush, as you see, is second at 15%. That 26% for Trump among self-identified Republican primary voters is not only the highest level of support for Trump, but it's also the highest any GOP candidate has received since the Fox poll began asking this question in December 2013. Mr. Trump is not among the Republican presidential candidates in New Hampshire tonight for a cattle call event. Correspondent Molly Line is in Manchester right now. Hi, Molly.
In these, the dog days of summer in the first in the nation primary state of New Hampshire, that cattle call event is drawing Republicans here today, and many of them took a little time to do some retail politicking out on the ground.
Very nice to meet you.
Good afternoon. Any way I can get a picture with you?
Sure you can. I'll come around.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie was out shaking hands, working the crowd at the Puritan Back Room in Manchester, greeting voters one-on-one. Meanwhile, across town, Ohio Governor John Kasich greeting a roundtable at a law firm, talking about a conversation he had on the plane on the way here.
This person was telling me that the press is interested in the political calculations that candidates make. I have no interest in political calculations. My only interest is in public policy and making things better for people.
And Texas Governor Rick Perry worked the Granite State's critical small business community, visiting with the Greater Salem Chamber of Commerce, touting his record on job creation. When pressed on the attention Donald Trump has brought to border security, Perry admits that he's not a celebrity, but argued actions are better than empty rhetoric.
I've been dealing with it. I've been just talking about it. And I think this country has about had it with people that just talk. I mean, we've had a talker-in-chief now for the last 6.5 years, unfortunately.
One face that we will not see is that of Donald Trump. He has decided not to participate tonight. According to the union leader, one of the event's sponsors, the paper received a letter from Trump declining because he believes he's unlikely to get the paper's endorsement, and he feels there are too many people on stage. Tonight's event follows more than 24 cattle call events that the GOP has already brought together in various forums. The event will feature 14 presidential hopefuls, and we will keep an ear out for any of the highlights. Brett?
Okay, Molly, thank you from Manchester. Please join us for the Republican candidate debates. They will be held this Thursday in Cleveland. Debate night begins at 5 Eastern. Coverage of the primetime event starts at 8:50 p.m. Set the DVR. Let's bring in our panel a little bit early tonight. Steve Hayes, senior writer for the Weekly Standard, A.B. Stoddard, associate editor of The Hill, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. A.B., you look at that poll, you look at a number of polls. It's pretty striking.
All the polls. Donald Trump was considered by most, I think, of the party establishment as this sort of movie, this summer blockbuster that was going to come and go. But what is durable support in the Republican Party in 2015? I mean, who can say his support isn't durable? It's going to go away. We have no idea. If he performs well in the debate, if he does not attack, if he comes up with some specifics, if he keeps his cool, I think he's going to keep his lead for a while. The field is very divided. The only winnowing factor so far in the field has been Donald Trump, who's been able to take, like you said, a lead that no one has been able to come near. Most people have been floating around at 8%, at best 10. Yeah. So in the 20s is a commanding lead, and I think he's going to be in the lead for a while.
Two other notable polls inside that poll. One is the top candidate quality that you're looking for. This is again among Republican primary voters, the Fox News poll asked, and among those, strong leader, true conservative values, 20%, and there you see the rest. The other interesting is among GOP primary voters, who would you never vote for? And on this poll, you see that Lindsey Graham is at 40%, Chris Christie 34%, George Pataki, and there you see Trump at 33%. You would never vote for Donald Trump. Kasich, Santorum, Paul, and then you see the rest. Walker at the bottom at 9%.
I mean, who knew that there was that great national animus towards George Pataki? I mean, really shocking poll finding. Look, I mean, that's a better number for Donald Trump than we've seen in polls in the recent past. And if you look at his favorables, unfavorables, he's done what's, I think, very difficult to do in politics, which is turn around those numbers in a short amount of time. The challenge for him now is to convince people, as AB suggests, that he's a serious guy, that he actually has ideas. Anger and frustration can be a great motivating factor. There's nothing wrong with exploiting that for political gain. Having said that, you also eventually have to have plans. You have to have ideas. You've got to go beyond saying we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. We're going to take on China because we're having better negotiators. You've got to have actual ideas and actual plans about real things that will affect people's lives, and yelling at your rivals and shouting about the problems in the country won't get that done.
It's getting it done so far. He is saying, Charles, that he's not studying for this debate on Thursday. We'll see what he comes to the table with when we get to the stage.
He doesn't have to study. He's been on television, 14 years with The Apprentice. He knows what to do with a camera. And his success is evident. Those numbers of never vote for, he's cut in half in the month that he's been in the race. And I used to believe what Steve believes, that at some point you have to have a plan. At some point you have to say exactly what you're going to do with health care, other than I'll abolish Obamacare, and then I will produce a serious, no, what did he say? A terrific substitute. Well, that's a plan of sorts. I used to think that was necessary. Well, I would say right now that I don't think it is for quite a while. Perhaps on the eve of the Iowa caucuses, you ought to have a plan for something, other than for ISIS. We bomb them, we surround them, and then we go in and take their oil. That's another plan, but I think it needs to be fleshed out a little bit. So it could be, I mean, I think he could run the rest of this calendar year on these statements he's made without any plans. And I think the proof of it is that he's up there with a big lead.
But you're surprised?
Absolutely. Look, I haven't changed my views of his candidacy, but I surely have of his durability.
Is Joe Biden about to take on Hillary Clinton? We'll talk about that with the panel when we come back.